Hey everyone, I'm glad you're back if you watched my first video, and glad you're here if this is new for you. I Today's well, there's been a lot of stuff on my mind today. You'll get to know that my mind is going quite fast, and lots through it at all times, which has been one of the things I've actually been working on over the last year and a half specifically, because conscious mind has been messing things up for me. So, and I probably will talk a lot more about that. There's no doubt I will talk a lot more about that since it's been a major piece of my practice. But a lot of what I'm doing now had to be like layered on top of each other. So, the conscious mind stuff actually was the first thing that I started working on, and I was working with a therapist on that. And he does a very specific kind of therapy that was really helpful for it, but was because I was obsessing. I had begun obsessing about my health and trying to control things um, more than normal, because control has been a theme for my entire life. And oh, you'll hear plenty about that. And I know that a lot of people do have some challenges with that. For some people, they have tendencies to it, but it doesn't seem to affect them, or they're saying it's not affecting them. Um, but for me, it got to a point where it was ridiculously affecting me, and I didn't realize retroactively that, like, if I'm looking back, after I kind of started these practices and was able to um, kind of get rid of the obsessions, but just change that pattern and recognize what was happening in me, that I realized even before that kind of escalation that happened because of certain health things that happened. I had different health flares. I've had chronic conditions. I have chronic illness for the last 17 years. So I had some conditions since I was a kid, but 17 years ago is when they started significantly affecting my life, because additional ones came on, and it kind of continues to build. But I've also found ways to be able to be with a lot of those things and to ride the waves a little bit better. And so some of these practices I talk about help me with that, but specifically with this control piece and this stuff that was going on in my head. Um, that conscious mind was just throwing all kinds of stuff at me. I needed to find a way to not even quiet it, because it still like our brains are language machines, and they spout a whole bunch of stuff. They will fill in voids, right? They will fill in um, and just make stuff up. There's like this, the voice. I'm sure I don't know one person who doesn't have a voice in their head that's not telling them garbage, and they may not see it or recognize it all the time, but it's there, right? And I think particularly for um, I was going to particularly for women, but I think it just in a different way for women, um, because of culture and society, and everything's combined, right? There's nothing that exists in isolation. And so also the practices that help me get back to this state, or to, I don't even know if I ever was really fully alive and able to accept all that was going on um, within me and embrace all of me before all of this happened. There were little pieces of it. I don't know if you're the kind of person like me who was reading a million different self-help books, and trying all kinds of things and working with coaches and therapists, and just kept trying to fix myself. And you know um, now I've come to it that there's nothing to fix. There's there's a whole bunch of patterns. There's a whole bunch of things I didn't recognize how they were working, and so um, I didn't know the need to unlearn and to return to the self and to strip off the layers of all of this other stuff, and that was going to be the thing that helped me the most. But the idea that when I came and it was, exposed to this new practice, to be able to not quiet the mind, but allow it to be there and recognize it for what it was. And then to be able to just live alongside that in a really much more peaceful way, and to not let it run the show, to let my subconscious, my true self, the creative part of me, the part that connects with the universe or source or God or whatever term you use, however you connect with that thing that's higher and bigger than us and that contains all of us. That piece I want running the show, not the conscious mind. Conscious mind should be in service to this other piece of me that is beautifully magic in my eyes now, and um, the piece that really connects, that's able to be here with myself, with other people, and to create the creative part, the expressive part. That's the piece that I want to lead, the part that is just love. That part I want to lead. The conscious mind I want to come in when I say, right? If I need to calculate something or do something that requires cognitive ability, yeah, I want to call on it, but I don't want it to run, because it also does all this other stuff. You're not good enough. You're never going to do that. It doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to be healthy ever. Um, and with everything you have going on, you're never going to be able to do this, this, and this. Who are you to think that, like, the list goes on, right? And so I had to adjust that first, but it wasn't everything. And part of and so it's not about fixing, it's just about what kind of relationship do I want to have with all the stuff that's goes on within me and is external to me, and find a way of being. So it's not, I constantly have to think, oh, I need this technique, I need to do this now, I need to do this now. It was getting ridiculous, like all day long, like, oh, I have to breathe, I have to do this. It was a lot. And it's not that I don't still use some tools, it's that the fundamental and the foundational part of it helps me to be in a way that I don't need as much of that. Or when I do use a tool or a technique, it's not to try to force something or to avoid something. It's just additive. It enhances. And so, oh man, part of what I'm working on is and I do have to be conscious of this, is some of the physical patterns that I have, the, it, um, that are from a lot of the ways that I've lived my 50 plus years. Um, it my body braces, and everybody, I think a lot of people do have that. Mine, my shoulder, my upper back right now, that's the area that's bracing. It kind of changes and moves around for me, but that's what's happening right now. And that's the kind of the old survival self, and so you'll see me move around a little bit just because I'm trying to keep myself loose. And when I'm talking with all of you, I get into a flow and I forget my body. And because I still have this pattern that isn't quite isn't quite shifted yet completely, I forget about it. And then, I'm like, at the end of recording something like this, I will be very stiff. And, you know, so, but what I was saying was, part of the thing about um, addressing these thoughts that we constantly have going, this reel that we constantly have going. And for me, I know this is like backwards, but for me, this it's the left side. For some reason, it's the left side, and I think um, brain structurally in the brain, it actually is the left side that does all this stuff. I'll have to double check on that, report back. But for me, just I create visuals of things to help me, and the conscious mind's over here. um, and the other part of me is here and here. So, so with all of that, and that started to be really helpful because it just took a little of the energy out of the um, allowing all of these, messages and this voice to control everything. And it started like removing some of the power of that, which was ridiculously helpful. And it just gave me a little bit of breathing room so that now I could actually do some more things and be able to create new patterns. And it's just that little space, right? It took me out of complete survival mode 24/7 and gave me some little breaks so that I could do some of this other stuff. So then I recognized that I was still just fighting against what was and things that were happening, particularly in my body. So my body, even though not super happy with pain and discomfort, um, actually was a great teacher because it gave me something almost concrete to practice on with not evaluating. Um, I like some of the things from the Buddhist tradition. You'll get to know that I pull things from many spiritual and mystical traditions. Um, I think there's a lot of overlap in many of them, but particularly for Buddhism, this idea of not evaluating, not judging. And so, is something bad or good? I don't know. Um, Neutral has always been hard for me. I'm somebody who feels a lot, and I um, I have trouble of it just being nothing. Now, I do achieve that sometimes. There are times when I have this great peace about me, and I do achieve that. But for me, when something happens, so, you know, I caught, I'm immunocompromised. So the idea of like catching a cold scares me because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if my body's going to fight it or if it's going to fight it like, you know, ridiculously, like 100 times what it would be, which causes way more crap to happen in my body, basically. And so it can be a little bit more dangerous and certainly more uncomfortable and last longer. And so, but I got this, I got a cold after Christmas, and immediately it's like, oh man, I got a cold, and now this going to happen, right? So conscious mind is sending all of this stuff, and um, but part of it was also, well, this is really bad. And so then remembering, well, wait a minute, I don't know. I don't actually know. Like that's really, so that's a lot of like, it's real hubris, I think, for me to think I'm so special. I can really see everything and the whole world and the plan for all of life and all of my life and know exactly that this particular thing that's happening is bad. Maybe it's got a purpose. Maybe it's keeping me from going somewhere that I wasn't supposed to be. Or maybe it's practice because I needed more practice doing it. Or like I don't even know. Like there's no way for me to know that. So trying to create some humility for myself and like I don't know what that's going to be. And since I can't do anything about it and I don't know what it's going to turn out to be, there have been plenty of things. I don't know if you've had this in your life. There were plenty of things that happened that I thought were bad, like I was late to something, or something fell through, or I didn't get this job, or I got fired, or whatever it was. And, in the moment, it was like, ugh, it was just, ugh. um, and then it turned out to be, however long in the future, like after that, it turned out, wow, that was the best thing that could have happened to me. And so there's just been a series of that over the course of life. If I look back, and even when, a couple of years ago, I had a significant health flare, which I was talking about, and I needed to, find a way to, um, get the conscious mind to not be the lead, and which was super helpful in actually getting some of my health back. And um, and that was probably the my low point, which is saying a lot, but it was probably my low point in my life. And I look back now, and I'm still experiencing a lot of the effects of that, but I look back on it, and I wouldn't be talking to you. So if you're listening to this and it's, I don't know, helping you in some way, entertaining you, informing, anything, this, or there's a connection here because you're seeing yourself in some of the stuff I'm saying, I wouldn't be here doing that if it weren't for 2 years ago. There are many relationships I wouldn't have if it weren't for 2 years ago. There are ways I'm relating to people in relationships I had already that would not be as deep as they are now because of the experience and because of what I gained from the experience. Because, yes, I took some steps to find a way to be differently, just to embody a different way of moving through the world. I wouldn't have had that, which helps me to be more present, which helps me to connect more with me and with other people and with the gifts that I've been given that flow through me. They're not me. I don't know how to explain it. It's like something else that happens through me where I'm able to work with people and really be able to see the things they can't see yet until they can. And that's in many different ways. I did work as a therapist for a while. I am a trained therapist. Haven't done that in many years, but I definitely use um, all of that in my work, whether it's on career or helping um, um, business owners, executives, like leading teams for the first time. People just want their experience to be different, or um, they want to be more fully alive in their work, and they want to be more effective and connect more with people and connect more with themselves and do a lot of the stuff that I am currently doing, but even the stuff I was doing before this past couple of years. And but I'm able to do it so much better now. And I wouldn't have had that. So I'm thinking back, I'm like, would I have traded that? Like, I don't want the pain. I don't want the energy limitations. I don't want all the other symptoms and stuff that's happening. And it has made me more fully alive. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case for everybody. I wish disease didn't exist. I don't know why it does. I don't have answers to everything. But what I know for me is layering on this piece of questioning when I have these thoughts about something being good or bad. Is that actually true? Do I know that for sure? Is there a possibility that this could go a different way or not be either of those things? So it just is. I have a hard time with that still sometimes. And but I do know the accepting of what is, and also being able to go and try to create and change things holding those two things at the same time, you'll hear me talk about like holding these two very different things at the same time is has been the key. And when I can do that, it's wonderful. Still a work in progress for that. Um, but the being able to be with what is without judging it, without saying, oh, I know. Now I know this, and this is going to turn into this, and this is going I don't know. And every time it's just so funny. I laugh at myself because every time I think I know, and then I'm like remembering back, and I'm like, my gosh, I have no idea. Like, who the heck am I? Like, I can't know. So I can't even know for myself. So that's also helping me change my pattern in my work with others. Because even though I do have this gift of seeing, I do see movies, I see many potential avenues for a particular person in their career in life. It's a strange thing. I don't typically see it for myself. Um, but even then, I don't know. These are only things that are possible. Maybe they're parallel timelines. I don't know. Other in another universe that this person exists in, and these are the possibilities. I'm not sure what it is, but it does help me to direct a little bit my focus, my questions, my work. And so it's been a real gift, but it's not something I can say, this is going to be for you. You need to do this, this, and this. I can say, hey, it's these things tend to be helpful, but for you, you might do it this way, or this way. So let's find some good experiments. Everything, this life is the whole thing is an experiment. There's nothing linear here. There's it's there's so much uncertainty, and that's the part, to me, in certain areas of my life, still really scary. Working on that, working on being with the scary, because I'm not going to change necessarily how I feel about it, but maybe my experience of how I'm feeling. um, but the uncertainty in certain areas like work for me, that what kind of things am I going to do? I used to try to plan. Used to try to plan out, and then I realized, wow, my life turned out nothing like I did. I used to plan like I'm a good planner. I'm a person with a clipboard, and I have a lot of that to me. I have gotten away from a lot of that because, again, it was not great for me. It didn't feel good, and also things didn't work out. So like short term, yeah, if I'm going to plan an event, or I'm going to plan a specific thing, and something tactical for short term, sure. um, Although that's not my preferred kind of work anymore. I used to just gravitate toward it because it was easy for me. And but I don't I like not knowing what's going to be, because when I don't plan, it turns out so much better. I mess it up when I try to interfere. And it's not about not taking action. I'm just sitting here waiting. I'm getting curious about things, and I follow that direction, and I try like this. This is something I was pulled to do. Yes, and I had other people, and there were signs, and I think I talked about it in the first video. There were other people that it just seemed like, wow, this is like, almost some synchronicities there. Um, and like I had the call, and then I need to share. I didn't know how. And I thought it was going to be a blog. I thought it was going to be writing, because I do like to write, and I have tons. I have my Google Drive is full of writing. It's probably a book. And but that just didn't feel right to me. Something, as I'm getting better with my intuition, feeling the gut, now that I'm doing all these practices, I can feel more. And so I'm able to make the little turns and try some things and be still with it and be like, okay, that did not feel good. And there's a certain kind of not feeling good. So there's this thing where I get frustrated because I'm not good at something yet or whatever, but I'm still excited about it. That I keep going, um, at least most of the time, if my health allows. And that's a whole nother challenge. um, is to continue to do things that I really want to do, even if it causes an increase in symptoms and things like that. So there have been some things where I have done that. Um, but trying to follow this intuition and having this uncertainty about what might happen in this area of my life is really exciting because I can't see it. This is something I can't see, which is just ironic. And I am um, learning how beautiful it is when I don't try to control it. When I don't plan it out, when I don't try to force or will it. Anytime I try to force and I use this to try to plan out, well, this sounds logical. And if I do this, this, and this, and I have this, this, and this skill, and I could do, mm, it, it, it not only doesn't feel good, I don't do as much for it. I don't put as much effort into it. And even times that I have, it just falls flat. It's almost like all of the other good things that were happening in my career actually stop when I try to force anything. And so I've learned like hands off. And occasionally I go back to that and that my conscious mind um, kicks in. Well, if you just did this, other people are doing this and they're making all this money and they're doing this in the world and they're like, oh, let me go do. Oh no, wait a minute, Suzanne, you're not great at this. You know, um, your subconscious, your creative part of you, your soul, your consciousness, universe does a much better job. So you need to just follow the breadcrumbs and try some things. I work best by responding, part of my human design. And so um, I get a feeling or a sense or an intuition. That's something I can respond to, a yes or no. So the only way, though, I get that feeling to respond to is by trying some things, not full force ahead and planning, but trying. And so that's what I'm doing here. And I actually really loved doing the first video. And I'm loving this right now, actually, too, because I'm envisioning a bunch of you here in the room with me. And that's kind of neat. And once I can figure out how not to strain my shoulders and upper back doing this, we're gonna be golden. But see, that's another thing. I knew that there's a potential for that, and so I did it anyway because I really want to do it. Um, so we'll find a solution to that because I talk to people all the time, and it might just be where I'm standing or the fact that I'm standing. It could be because I'm standing and the camera's pretty close. So I think once I potentially get a different camera and I can put it a little further away, so I can stand further away. I don't know if that helps any. I guess it helps a little bit. So if I could talk more to, something farther away, I think that would help it. But again, I'm still going to do it because I feel called to do it. I have some other things. I have a community of practice that I feel really called to do. Working with other folks who work with young people. I just think it's really hard to give people hope when you yourself are struggling and the uncertainty is getting to you and you don't know what this world is going to be. I mean, we have no idea what the world of work is going to look like in like a year, let alone 5 or 10. And so how do we deal with that for ourselves and so that we can then really be there for the people we're working with. And so that's a thing, and I'm starting it with people who are local to me because real life interaction. I mean, this I know is virtual, but it also is longer form, and so I feel like this is there's a little more realness to it, and because it's longer form, I don't have to curate it. I don't have to plan it. I can think about, oh, wait a minute, this is on my mind today, and just take a minute to think about the different things that I might want to share, stories I might want to share, things like that. But I really start with the general idea, and then I hop on and let things flow out of me. And I'm sure as I go, I will have some that are planned more. And if you, any things that I've said today in my first video or going forward, you want to hear more about or you have questions about, I'm happy to. I work well with that. I work well with questions, so feel free to comment, ask a question, and I'll try to answer things for you in another video. Um, but yeah, so this idea of being with what is and not judging and not evaluating. I did try to do some Buddhist meditations, like I don't know if you know Pema Chodron, Chodron, Pema, Pema. Um, yeah, I don't know if I spelled the last name right, but if you look up Pema and Buddhism, you'll find her work. She has several books out. She's got videos, and she talks about meditations that she does in this kind of practice about just being with it, what is, and accepting, and not trying to change things, not trying to quiet your mind, just being. And I did. This is the type of thing I was trying to do more, and it wasn't really working for me at a certain point. Um, so I had to recognize that I needed something different, and I love it. And I think a lot of people have gotten help that way. But this is what I was saying in the first video, that the way we approach these things is going to be really different for all of us, and depending on where we are, right? So 2 years ago, when I was at the height of this awfulness, there were only so many things that, I mean, honestly, there was just that one thing that was going to work for me. And the particular therapist that I started working with, it had exactly what I needed. But I tried all kinds of I couldn't, meditation was actually making things worse for me. And at that point, so and then there have been other times where specific kinds of meditation have been, like TM, transcendental meditation, where you do a mantra, was super helpful for me. And that actually was my first foray into any kind of stillness practice, because I do think stillness practices are great. But at this point in my life, what works for me, and I do kind of a form of self hypnosis and a visualization, which is a form of meditation, but it's different than the thing Pima was talking about in a lot of the Buddhist meditations. And so they may work really well for you. But you're going to have to try some things. So if you try some things and you're like, that didn't work, well, maybe that's just not the right thing for you right now. There are so many ways in to all of this. For me, what's helpful with that Buddhist practice is actually practice, is real life, is each thing that's happening and occurring in my real life, questioning, is this good or bad, right? Sometimes journaling, I don't even like the word journaling, but I'll go and I'll write down, like, okay, wait a minute, all of the things, what things have happened in my life that seemed sucky at the time, but ended up not being, or just make a list of the things that were sucky and then go back and just sit with it and write, just keep writing about what happened after that, and then looking at it and going, wait a minute, it just gets stuff out. So writing has actually been a good thing for me, to just as a stillness thing as well, just ask myself some question. And I can also provide a list of interesting questions that might um, be helpful as well. I've done a bunch around this, and I think just asking really cool, provocative questions, things that just might help us to stop whatever's going on right now, like whatever we're thinking, whatever train of thought or whatever pattern we're in, and just take a step out for a second. And the writing, what writing helps me think, but it also helps me feel, and it helps get stuff out. So it's a great thing. So again, if it's something you'd like, I can certainly talk about questions and how to go about some form of, brief writing practice. It's nothing that would have to take super long. But for me, the in life practice has been really great too, and it's the thing I added. And it's almost like a mindfulness, but it's very specific to this thing of accepting and no good or bad, like recognizing when I'm So if I feel off, I go, okay, something's going on. Like I feel off, and I'm not present. I'm not still. I'm, the conscious mind's going nuts. What's um, what is the thing that is happening right now that I'm not real? Oh, wait a minute. I just was like, oh, I hate this. I hate this was happening, and this is going to be occurring, or this is bad, right? And sometimes even the other way around, like this is really good. This is really good. If I get super excited about something, and then I'm like, okay, I don't know that either. So again, it's this, um, evaluation, right? So things you have maybe a day that everything goes right. You're like, oh, today is great. Everything's good and grateful. Being grateful is lovely. And for me, sometimes it goes more than that. It's like, oh, well, this is exactly how I do each day, and then I'll feel great. So again, I go back to the control, like trying to control stuff and the bracing, and um, the but then I just like coming back, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, no, like I don't even know. I don't know. I know how I'm experiencing a moment, and I may be coming up on something where I did that, and the last time I didn't have a good experience. So now I can try to create a different relationship to that thing. So there is stuff to do, right? It's not like I'm just, again, just being a blob. Um, there is stuff to do, but again, it's a way of approaching relationship to experience, relationship to myself, just to life. And this thing helps me to be more fully alive, this combination of practices. So, and there are a few more things that are kind of I incorporated in that are becoming a little more part of just my natural way of being. So again, it's not constantly pulling for a tool or a technique um, all the time, as that was really exhausting. Like just there's plenty of exhausting stuff happening in the world. We don't need to add more to it. And you know, my a big one of my things is obviously health, but for other people, it may be other people's health. Maybe you have family members who you're a caregiver for, or there are things happening within family or friend circles that are hard, or it's work related. Um, environment or the type of work you're doing is very, very challenging, or not having enough work. There's just a endless amount of things, right, that we're all experiencing, and having this a little bit better foundation is the only way I'm. It's the only way I'm here in general, but also the only way I have these pockets of being fully alive, which I'm hoping increases. I would like more, and I know more of that is also going to be me being with people and finding a way to do that feels safer for me. Winter's a little challenging for that, but still, I think the in-person thing, the more real connection, even though we're doing it through a screen, I, I, I see you and feel you, and it's just different. It's not me posting a clip, which I'll probably post clips of this, but to get people to come over and share with us and be part of our community. But it's not just clips. It's not memes. It's not. Um, it's more in depth, and it's more personal and raw. You see, I'm not editing any of these videos. At some point, if I have ones where I'm like trying to teach something maybe more specific, there might be some, but I'd really just like these to be conversations where they're sharing, and I can certainly create something else that's more educational and edited, and for different topics that resonate with people that they want more on. Um, but I think for this, I just like being and allowing to come through me whatever's supposed to come through me today. And some days that's going to be a really cohesive message, and other days it's just going to be me talking and being with you. And there's value in that. There's absolute value in that. I have folks who sometimes in the course of our work just actions between our sessions, they don't have it in them right now, and they just show up and they're just there with me, and they actually get a lot out of that, and it's really beautiful. And then when they're ready, they start doing things, and then I help them with that piece. But things they're creating in their lives, and whether it's work or education or personal, and so yeah, there's for all of you. I think there's and we're all different, right? So I'm more of an ambivert. I I I think I thought I was extroverted a long time ago because I was outgoing, but I get drained really easily if I'm in an environment that is superficial. So I've learned that for myself, and I'm better with smaller groups and one-on-ones. Or if I'm presenting or doing something with a large group where it's a little bit more focused and controlled, that's also great for me too. Like you could put me in on stage in a stadium, I'd be perfectly fine with that. Um, but there is a limit to just sometimes social situations, and I'm like, okay, uh, I'm going now, or I have to limit how many I do in a given period of time. So, but for everybody's very different, and some people don't have a lot of practice being out and being with other people, and so where you start from is where you start from. So it's not going to always look again like me, or even some of the stories I tell. It may not look like that. It may look a little bit different, but I do think whether that's you and one other person at a time, and there are maybe three of those people, it doesn't have to be huge, or what our society says, or what we see in movies and TV. It just needs to be real and honest and deeper. And I know people live in different places, and so it can be hard. I do have a lot of friends who don't live near me anymore, a lot of ones that are really close to me. And so we FaceTime, we talk on the phone, occasionally get to see them. But, there's lots of ways to continue relationships, but the in-person thing is really, if possible for people, it's a great tool for being alive and for learning about ourselves. And yeah, so, okay. I have taken enough of your time today. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Suzanne, and I am here to share my practice of what it means to be fully alive, and hoping that we build a world with more and more people who are, because that's a world I want to be a part of, and I want you all to be a part of that too. All right. Night, everybody.